Hey, hi, hello, friends. And I'm back with blue eyebrows. Hi, guys. So I want to start this video off by saying sorry for being on for a couple days. There was no other reason for it other than the fact that I just couldn't get on camera and film between life being busy and then like my skin's been having a real hard time recently. I accidentally used my mom's face cream, which it's got like lactic acid in it or something, and it does not agree with my skin. Long way of saying, if you're new to my channel, I'm just gonna put you right into it. You know, I'm not gonna like give you a slow introduction, give you my name, all that jazz. You're just thrown into the deep end. I also want to talk about Foodie Beauty, as you are well aware. I actually wanted to talk about the live that she did where she was crying in the car. I had the whole thing edited down too. I had the bits that I wanted to talk about. And right as I was sitting down to record my react, I saw that Milk Tea Reacts had gone ahead and uploaded her version of it. And pretty much 90% of what I had wanted to say, she covered it. And she's very eloquently spoken, and so I didn't feel the need to go through and like talk about it from my point of view. I might still record it and I might put it up for my patrons if they're interested in that, but I don't see the need for duplicating that out there. I do try and talk about stuff from my point of view if I think that there's something missing or hasn't been discussed in a particular way. I don't like to repeat information, especially when I think she did such a good job and it was like a shorter video, 30 minutes, and mine would have been significantly longer. So I wanted to talk instead about the video that she put out last week, the shortest video that she put out last week, going to grams. Now, there's a couple of things I want to address right off the bat before I jump into the react. First, I'm reacting to it because it is one of her shortest videos. She has recently been putting out a mountain of content. And I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit lost. I'm not entirely sure if she's still together with Nader at this point. It seems to me that every time payday comes around, they mysteriously make up, and every time she's at the furthest points from payday, when she's at her lowest when it comes to money, they seem to have trouble and they seem to have a falling out. And Chantel often has a reaction to that. So I'm not entirely sure if they're still together right now or not. And part of the problem is, honestly, Chantel lies all the goddamn time. She lies all the goddamn time. So it's so hard to tell what the narrative of her story right now is. What we do know is that her grandmother is sick and she's dying. I feel bad for Chantel. I know that Chantel grew up pretty close to her grandmother. I know her mom had her fairly young, and so she's been pretty close to her grandma. That said, I can't help but feel the timing of when she released this information is very much so to paint her in a sympathetic light. And while most of the time I would extend a lot of courtesy to someone who is missing their grandmother, if you guys don't know, I might have mentioned it at some point on my channel, but I was very close to my grandmother. Her loss like devastated me in a multitude of ways, and I miss her every day to this day. Rarely a day goes by that I don't think about her, and she passed away in early 2017. So it's been a few years, and yet still hurts. So I can imagine that facing the loss of her grandmother could be hard for Chantel. I can't also dismiss the fact that she is using that as a cover to garner more sympathy. I don't know if anyone else has ever done this, but as someone who finds a lot of parallels in Chantel's way of thinking, I can tell you for myself that when I'm upset about something, but I don't think that I have the right to cry about it, especially when it's my own fault, sometimes, even if it's just to myself, I will put on like a sad movie, or I'll read a sad book, or I'll listen to some sad music, and then I'll cry. Because the crying is cathartic and it makes me feel better, but I need a reason to do it, right? I need a justification for crying when it's my fault that I'm in the predicament that I am in. And Chantel takes it one step further, where her life is very public, and so she'll put that at the forefront of everyone's mind. So now everyone has to feel bad for her because she's crying and giving her a lot of that sympathy and aspects. It's fine, I think, to do what I do. And I'm not just saying that because I'm the one doing it. I'm saying it because if you're doing it in the privacy of your own head, to use an external thing to give yourself a cathartic release so that you feel better about stuff going on in your life, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But when you use self-victimization as a way to essentially weaponize other people's sympathy and empathy towards you, use it as a shield to deflect attention away from the way that you're behaving, your own negative behavior in a public sphere, I think that that's when it becomes problematic. It becomes an issue, especially because with Chantel, a lot of times she tends to then use it one step further and she projects negative intentions onto other people. I don't want anything bad to happen to Chantel's grandmother. I hope that she, gets better, and I hope that she continues forward and that she has many more happy years ahead of her. But I can't control that, and I'm sorry that that's happening to her at this very moment when other negative things are happening in her life as well, right? There is a lot of other shit that she is doing that I think she rightly deserves the criticism for. And I don't think it's fair for us to just say, well, because of the situation with her grandmother, we shouldn't talk about any of the other negative things, which is what she wants. Because that is how she wants to spin the narrative, that if I'm saying anything bad about her right now, you're talking about a woman who's dealing with the very serious sickness that her grandmother is going through. How low can you be? And that's the weaponization that I'm talking about. She's done it before and she'll do it again, right? When we talk about her negative behavior and she'll turn it around and she'll say, you're shaming me. You're shaming me because I'm an addict. It's absolutely not true. But just because you're an addict, it doesn't absolve you of all of the terrible behavior that you display, both towards yourself and towards other people, quite frankly. Anyway, those were the two pieces of thought I had that I really wanted to convey before I jump into this. There's not much in this. I'm hoping it's a shorter react because it's only like 3 minutes and 40 seconds worth of video that I've actually clipped out of her like 40-minute live. So I'm hoping that it's like relatively short, maybe like 25 minutes. But I know that whenever I say stuff like that, I always come across as a liar because I have such a problem. I gab like you would not believe. All right. With all that said, let's jump into it.
I think I slept okay, but I woke up at like 9, and I've been like up ever since cleaning and shit. Much appreciated.
I'm just leaving the part where she says I've been up since 9 cleaning and shit because why she was cleaning and how much she actually cleaned is gonna come back around in a little bit.
Cleaning on a Sunday. Well, I just did the kitchen a bit. I was gonna make spaghetti, right? And then my mom messaged me, said that my grandma's in like palliative care. So she's allowed one person in at a time with a mask, so.
All right. So she says that she's been, she got up and she's cleaning on a Sunday morning, which honestly would be a very responsible thing to do. I don't know how everyone else does it, but it's like as far back as I can remember in my house, it's been a tradition. We clean on Sunday mornings. So everybody in my house gets assigned one task, and then we clean on Sunday mornings, and we have like a brunch rather than a lunch or a breakfast, and my dad generally cooks that. And then everybody, like, once we finish all of our tasks, my dad makes brunch, we all sit around the table, we have brunch together as a family, and then we go on with the rest of our day. Our Sunday is also the one day where we try not to have work for anyone, because with my brother being on call or whatever from the hospital, my sister has stuff for her school, and she works funny hours sometimes. My mom sometimes gets called in to work on the weekends. My dad's job is fairly stable, and my job tends to be mostly the hours fluctuate, but it's always within the normal traditional work week. So that's the one day where we never do anything. And so for me, when she says, well, cleaning on a Sunday, I don't know, that's a very normal thing to me. Growing up, I'd assumed everybody does that. I assumed everybody woke up in the morning on Sunday, a little bit earlier than they do on Saturday. They clean the house and then they have brunch with their parents. It's such a firm routine in my head that even now as a married woman who lives away from home, it's still a thing I do. I still wake up early on Sunday, we still clean, and I make partner do it too because I'm this is just what we do. I can't function any other way. I can't imagine another scenario. So you need to get up and then we're going to have pancakes after.
Even without the vaccine? Not yet, WM.
So she's saying that even without the vaccine, you're allowed to go in and visit her grandmother, one person at a time with the mask on. And at palliative care, it's end-of-life comfort care. While I wish her grandmother to live very many more healthy years, I cannot ignore the fact that, she's 88, something which I don't think Chantel really registers. And I don't think most people do when it comes to loved ones. When my grandmother passed away, I had no comprehension of the idea that I could lose her, despite the fact that I had lost other people at that point, including my grandfather, like her husband, right? But I'd been a child. I'd spent so much of my adolescence with my grandmother. It's a weird thing. Sometimes you know the concept of death is real. You know that the concept of losing people is real, but you don't connect it to your personal situation or to your personal life or to the people you love. I had, in my head, just sort of thought that she would outlive God. I couldn't, like, the idea that she could pass away was unreal to me, and so I was caught, like, weirdly unprepared for her to get sick and for her to pass away. And I think the speed with which it happened took me a lot by surprise. So I can understand that this could be a hard thing for Chantal to wrap her head around. And I can understand that she's probably going to have a hard time processing it. I mean, there's twofold of information there. One is that she's losing someone who she considered to be almost a motherly figure for a very long period of time. And the secondary part of that is it makes you confront your own mortality in a way that I don't think Chantal has ever really been comfortable with. For all that she talks about, like, I don't care, I don't want to live if I'm unhappy, Chantal is also scared of dying. Everybody is, and there's nothing unnatural or weird or bad about that. She should be scared of dying. And oftentimes I find myself hoping that she was more scared of dying, because if she was, then maybe she wouldn't behave in the reckless ways in which she behaves. But I don't understand this idea of going to visit your grandmother if you are unvaccinated. I know it might be allowed. I get that. It might be technically allowed, but if your grandmother is in such serious condition, do you think that it is safe for you to go and visit her when you could potentially give her COVID, right? Especially with the Delta variant being so much more contagious than the regular COVID virus is. What if you caught something and you gave it to her, you pass it on to her? And you might not experience any symptoms because you are relatively younger. But her, in her fragile state, it might be the one thing that pushes her over the edge. It might be a thing that her system cannot handle, no matter how mild the symptoms she's presented with, right? I have a friend of mine who has a baby shower coming up. She's vaccinated, but she's pregnant, which means her immunity is lowered. And when I go back, I want to go visit her. I want to go see her and her baby, and I want to do all of those fun things. When I get back, I plan on isolating completely for 2 weeks, means not going out of my house, not doing anything, and getting a COVID test before I go see her at her home, where she and her baby, well, she's pregnant at that point. She will maybe have delivered because I'm going right at the edge there. I want to go see her, but I'm not taking any risks. She told me as much. She's like, I trust you completely, but it's not a matter of trust. It's a matter of safety. I could never forgive myself if I did something that negatively impacted the people that I loved. It's one of the reasons why I haven't been to see my family in a year and a half. Everyone in my family was vaccinated. Everyone got I was the last person in my family to get vaccinated. Me and partner, because I work in a research facility and I work a lot from home, and partner does not work anywhere that puts him at high risk, right? He also works from home. So we were in the position where we were literally in the lowest priority, which is fine. But everyone else in my family was in higher priority, right? My dad has a traditional office job. He has to be in the office, and he works for the government, and so he was prioritized a little bit. My sister and my mom are both frontline workers, and my brother is a doctor, and he was working actively with COVID patients. So when you come right down to it, there really wasn't that much of a risk. But it's not just the immediate people that I am meeting; it's the secondary people. I would have to fly to come to my family. It's the person who's going to check my ticket. It's the person who's driving the Uber I'm taking. It's the person who gave me the coffee. If one of those people got sick because of me, I could never forgive myself. That is a huge responsibility to be taking into your hands. And so the fact that she's taking it so lightly, honestly, it upsets and appalls me a little bit. Okay, so this part I have muted out. I just wanted to show you guys sort of what she's showing us. It's not really all that important what she's saying, but she says that she's cleaned a bit, and so this is kind of what I want to show you. You can see the state that her house is in. The painting that's been there, that was from her grandmother, by the way, is still sitting there. You saw the pile of boxes is piling up there again. If you see in the back over there, you can still see like a pile of boxes that are starting to grow there again. Box Mountain is alive and well. So it doesn't matter how much you clean your house. If you let it deteriorate to this point, it's just going to get worse. The other thing this says to me, Pete's is not a fan of Amazon. Those are all Amazon boxes. What is she buying? Right? And this is a problem we've seen with Chantel before, where her addiction just tends to roll from one into another. And we've seen her indulge in over shopping and over consumerism before when it comes to just satisfying her addictive tendencies. And I worry that she might be doing that right now. Before, when she was actively recording videos, okay, maybe she was buying stuff for the videos, she needed costumes, she needed this and that. Maybe she needed stuff for the green screen. Now she doesn't have any of that. And we see the green screen stuff is still set up as well. She hasn't filmed in well over 3 months at this point. That shit should have come down. Like, I understand if you're filming on a regular basis. Like, this is a problem that I have in my old space where I don't have, like, my parents' house is significantly bigger than the place I live. And so it's very hard for me to film in my house sometimes because I have to put up, like, the backdrop. I have to do all of that because my surroundings aren't always what I can control, right? Like, I don't have a dedicated room where I can just sit and film. It's my bedroom, and then we have one other room in the house, and that serves as our office. And so I can't always be, you know, in the bedroom doing stuff, and I can't be in the office because partner uses that office for work stuff and he wouldn't feel comfortable, you know? So I can understand if you're filming every single day, you will need a dedicated space, especially if it's your job, like it is Chantel's. But if you haven't filmed or recorded video in well over 3 months, then it's only common courtesy to take stuff like that out of the common living spaces. Because I feel like the way that she's behaving right now, it's really limiting what Pete's is doing. And given the fact that he is going through a depressive episode, you making choices that are limiting his ability to actually come down, interact with his surroundings, are probably making his life harder too. And I think that she has a very detrimental effect on Pete's. I think if you're just looking at him, he's gained so much weight living with her, and this is the second time he's going through a massively depressive episode. I'm sure he's prone to them, and maybe we just didn't have as much exposure to Pete's before, so we don't know. But I can't help but feel that living with someone who has this sort of a disgusting way of existing, it can't be good for someone who's already prone to those situations. And I've said before that, you know, your environment has a big impact on your like depression, right? So when you have a gross environment, it can make your depression worse, and then vice versa as well. But when the second person in the house is the one that's contributing to making the house gross, I think that that's a horrible way to behave. You seem to be doing okay right now, and Pete's isn't. So you should at least be trying to make sure that you aren't actively making his condition worse, for all that you seem to consider him a ball and chain. And then so you see that, and then we come to the kitchen. Now, she talks about how she's cleaned the kitchen. So she's cleaned the kitchen up a little bit, and, you know, she like wiped stuff down. She didn't wash the dishes by hand, obviously. She put everything in the dishwasher, and that disgusting pot she still left. It's still full of like crud and water and everything, and you can see she's fucking like ruined it. I hope that's not a La Crusade, because those pots are expensive. I wouldn't put it past her to try and ruin it. Like, I wanted one forever, but they're like $300, and you better believe a bitch does not have $300 to spend on a fucking pot. Anyway, the reason I showed you all of this is because I think that there are two reasons why she's doing this. I think there's two reasons why she has this video up and why she's cleaned. One is the immediate reason, which is that she wanted to make spaghetti for herself, and the kitchen was dirty, and it was hard to make spaghetti in a dirty kitchen. I don't think it's a psychological thing. I just don't think she had any like clean pots, pans, cutting boards, knives, anything like that left over. So she's like, all right, well, if I want to eat without having to order out, I'm going to have to do this. And maybe she wanted to taste this particular spaghetti that she made. Could happen, you know. I think that's a reasonable way to think about it. If I, as a normal person, was in this situation, that's what I would do. The second reason why she cleaned and why she's on this stream is because of what she's put up before. If you look at the sheer amount of content that she has been uploading, she's trying to bury that crying live stream. She doesn't want people to see it. She doesn't really want people to like read into it. But she also doesn't want to delete it. I'm not sure what the repercussions are of deleting something that you've gotten super chats on, but I imagine that would impact it somewhat. And I'm sure that it's still getting views, and which is why she wants to leave it up. Also, there is the implication of, well, she deleted it, and so it must be important, right? So by leaving it up, she at least gets to monetize on her behavior. And yet still, she doesn't want the people who really support her to be attracted to that video, which is why she's putting out so much content to bury it. Just today when I'm recording this, she's put out like 4 or 5 shorts, which is something that in her most recent video, somebody mentioned to her that you should do shorts. And so she's just trying to bury that as much as humanly possible. And this is part of it, right? She in this video has titled it Going to See Gram, something that's going to garner sympathy because we know that her grandmother is sick. And then secondarily, you know, she's talking about cleaning her house. People have taken a lot of issue with the fact that she's absolutely disgusting. So the fact that she's cleaning her house is also something there to get her ass pats. And I can't help but feel that is the reason why she has put these two things together and why she uploaded this video in particular, especially given how short it is. Yeah, she's just walking through this. She shows you the pot, and that's pretty much just it. And then she's going to take you upstairs, and you'll see. Like, she's just showing you, like, how filthy the upstairs was, too. Like, she'll take you into her bedroom just now. She talks about how she's, like, cleaned out the filter, and she gave the cats water. And I would commend her a lot more for this if this wasn't stuff that she as an adult should be doing anyway. And this is where we get to her humble abode. And it is just... it's still gross. Like, if you look at the state of that carpet, there is just crud.
She was still in...
all over it. All over it. And in the corner, she's got this massive pile of dirty laundry. Like, I'm not harping on her disgusting state of being just to say that Chantel's nasty. We all know Chantel's nasty. I'm pointing it out because she's pointing it out. She's going through everything and she's showing you, like, look how much stuff I've done. Look how much stuff I've done. You know, she says, you know, well, you know, yeah, there's still some laundry there, you know. I think she mentions it in a second. But she's like, yeah, there's still some laundry there. But look how much stuff I've already gotten done. Look how good I am. Give me kudos. Give me pats on the back.
Her apartment when I was there visiting, she always talked about how she was afraid to die. That's what bugs me the most about everything. If she was at peace with God and, like, didn't worry or anything like that, wasn't scared, I wouldn't feel so bad, you know.
I don't think that there's any point at which somebody thinks to themselves, I'm good to die now. There's very few people who think like that, right? It's people sometimes are suffering from chronic illness or who might be okay with the idea of dying. That doesn't mean that people are like, yep, it's cool if I die now. Most people want to live for as long as possible. So I don't know what she's like, well, you know, if I was at peace with God. And I can't help but feel that that is what she's trying to convince herself of. That, you know, because of my unhealthy lifestyle, I might pass away. But all I have to do is really be at peace with God. And the dying won't be so bad. I can't help but feel that she's talking to herself about herself. Because I have no illusions that her grandmother said no such thing to her. It is a weird conversation to have with your granddaughter. Nobody comes out and one day just says, like, over, I don't know, like fucking pot pie or something, you know, I don't really want to die. Not unless there's context for that. And the way that she's presenting it, like, the way that she's presenting it right now is just that she was over at her apartment. Her grandmother just turned to her one day and said, I don't really want to die. That's not a weird thing, dude. Most people don't want to die. And I can't help but feel that she is putting this out there once more for sympathy and for pats on the back without ever actually saying that she wants sympathy and pats on the back. If you guys saw my last video, I was like hopping mad. I was so mad at her behavior because the way that she behaved was deplorable. And it all stemmed from the fact that she was talking about, she was like, oh, I don't want anybody's sympathy. I don't want anybody's, you know, I never asked for people to be in my life. I never begged for people to be in my life. And yet here she is sitting on her ass in her bedroom, right, begging for kudos and sympathy after having done the bare minimum as a grown-ass adult 37-year-old woman.
Oh yeah, I'm going to be wearing a mask. You're right.
Thank God for at least that, because I've seen her not wear a mask multitude of time when she's going through the drive-thru. Those people also deserve your sympathy.
I have a feeling that's how I'm going to go. Something with my heart or lungs. I just feel it. You know how you just know?
I mean, yeah, the way that Chantel knows is by the multitude of blood reports and doctor's appointments that she has. She goes to the doctor more often in, like, the course of 1 year than I have maybe in my entire life. Okay? She has so many things wrong with her. Least we forget, she has an incredibly advanced version of fatty liver disease, right? Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. She's got lung complications. She's on cholesterol medications. She's gotten her entire reproductive system removed and is on hormone therapy for that, which she isn't doing. She's on blood thinners, which she isn't taking. And least we forget, she did a mountain of cocaine for a while. And she's still doing it. Like, no one will convince me that she's not still doing illegal drugs. I just don't know what they are and what quantity. It might have gone down a little, but I doubt very much that she stopped. Because once more, the reasons she started are all still there, and she hasn't made him any kind of emotional growth.
Like, I just feel like, or liver, or I don't know.
Those are all the organs. Which organs are left? Which organs are left that she's thinking, oh yeah, those are the organs that are going to be fine. I don't have to worry about those organs, you know? Like, when I think about it, like, what's going to get me, right? How am I going to die? More than likely, it's going to be doing something stupid. Because I love doing, like, I've gone bungee jumping, I'm going to go skydiving, all those stupid things, right? Like, I go, like, diving, like cliff diving sometimes. So I'm probably going to end up dying because I'm going to do something stupid like that. Or I might die in a car because partner drives like a maniac. So when I come right down to it, like, how will I die? Do I think that I'm going to die from multi-system organ failure? Probably as a result of old age, but not really beyond that. I eat a relatively healthy diet and I exercise fairly well. So I'm probably going to have horrible knees because of my weight, but I doubt that I'm going to have that many problems. I don't have, like, there's no other, like, organ complication with me right now, at least, you know, knock on wood. So when you've got this many organ systems that you have to worry about right now, this is not the future, right? These are all the organ systems that are being impacted right now, that you're having an issue with right now. How can you sit there and be like, I just feel it, like it's some mystical thing? Ma'am, you have all these problems. They could kill you now. They can kill, like, her liver right now. I just want you guys to understand, her liver could have necrosis right now. Like, she could have intense scarring on her liver from the way that she's eating, because she's still eating absolute garbage. And her liver, your liver is what's detoxifying your body. Your liver is what takes all the harmful shit out of you. So you're doing cocaine, you're eating horribly, you still got fatty liver disease, right? And it might not be as bad as it was before, but God, I can't imagine that the cocaine weight loss was healthy for your liver in any way. And you don't go to the doctor on a regular basis. You don't get any kind of checkup. You don't take any of your maintenance medications.
Something like that. You look tired, MJ. Oh my God.
Yeah. I imagine doing 4 minutes of work would have really exhausted her, given that she's used to doing 0 minutes of work.
We're on borrowed time. So true. Anyone can go anytime. No matter how healthy or old.
I hate that. I fucking hate that when people say that. Well, everyone's on borrowed time, you know? Like, anyone can go at any point in time. You're right. I could be sitting here and getting hit by a meteor. Like, right now, at this very moment, a meteor could come crashing through that window that's in front of me, and I could die. But the probability of that are incredibly low. The probability of you dying at 40 are incredibly high. More than likely, if I have to put money on anything, which I wouldn't because that's a disgusting thing to do, but if I had to guess what would be her downfall, it would be her heart. She's taking cocaine. She's got extreme amount of weight that's sitting directly on her heart because she carries all of her weight forward as opposed to in her hips, which it's bad for your knees, but it's definitely better for your heart. She's got a crap ton of visceral fat. And she's not taking either her blood thinners or her cholesterol medication. So if I had to guess what would be the thing that would catch up to Chantel, I would guess it would be her heart.
Now, second vaccine. I don't know about today. Saturday afternoon. If they have anywhere available right now, but
okay. She's saying this in the context of wanting to go see her grandmother, that she wants to get the second vaccine. I left that clip in there because I just wanted to put a quick disclaimer out there. Once you take the second vaccine, you're not automatically more immune for at least about 2 weeks until the vaccine is completely assimilated. So if you are planning to see anybody who's in an immunocompromised position, or you're planning on doing any activity that is a little bit higher risk than you have been doing, and you're counting on the second dose of vaccine to protect you, first, be aware of that. Second, be aware that if you've taken the vaccine more than 6 months ago, there's some studies out of the Mayo Clinic that are saying that the vaccine loses a lot of efficacy after about 6 months, and that we might need a booster for it. So keep that in mind. And third, the Delta variant is a lot more contagious than the original version of the virus. And so even with the vaccine, even if you don't get it as severely, you could still contract it. And more importantly, you can still transmit it. So you might be protected from the worst of the effects of COVID, but you are not immune from passing it on to somebody, especially if they can't be vaccinated or haven't fully been vaccinated yet. Just putting that information out there.
thinking naturally because I'm hungry, like I haven't eaten. And I'm tired, like I didn't get much sleep, so I want to have some energy. So I'm going to get something sugary. Bad for me. What else is new?
Genuinely, though, what else is new? I mean, I can imagine that she's going through a hard time with her grandmother and whatnot, but it also feels like she uses any excuse that she has available to her to overindulge and overeat. She doesn't need to be doing this. She could have had a cup of coffee at home. We've seen the fact that she has a coffee maker. She's like, I need some energy. What's better for energy, a cup of coffee or a cup of liquid sugar? Coffee will give you a lot more energy for a lot fewer calories. It seems to me that you just want those calories. And you want to eat something, well, you were just fucking at home. Why didn't you eat some food? You have food at home. We know that. You were going to make something. Why didn't you make something for yourself at home? Eat something really fast, or even eat something unhealthy at home. Like, fuck, keep cereal, keep granola, whatever. You don't have to be out here having a twisty misty for fucking breakfast, okay? That's what she's getting, by the way.
I'm gonna get a twisty misty. It's just like right here. So. It's a piece of chicken with like ranch and buffalo and no veggies. It's food.
She's well and truly addicted to those Nashville chicken sandwiches, isn't she? And I hate when she says, well, it's just food, you know, I don't really like it that much, but I'm going to eat it even though it's bad for me, you know. I've said this before and I'll say it again. It doesn't matter if you're hungry. It matters if you're hungry, but it doesn't matter if you've paid for it. If you don't like it and you don't immediately like feel like hunger pangs, you don't like particularly care about eating it, you're just really hungry, she's got a twisty misty that will satisfy her. Don't eat shit if you don't like it. Okay, that's a really big problem that I had, especially in college, where there would be a lot of conferences and stuff that I would attend. There'd be a lot of club meetings that I would attend. They would have food left over. I would eat whatever was there, and then I would take food home with me because I didn't want to pay to buy food when I lived in dorms because it was expensive. I didn't even when I was living at home and I was like commuting to school, I didn't want to pay for food because it was so expensive on campus, and I fundamentally had no money any of the time. It doesn't matter though, because it doesn't matter if it's free. If I don't want to eat it, I shouldn't force myself to eat it, because what that ends up doing is that it creates this weird complex in my head saying that if food's free at any point, not eating it would be wrong of me. And then that's how you end up eating like 3 cookies of like 3 oatmeal raisin cookies when you don't even like oatmeal raisin because they were free, but you're still hungry because what you really wanted was like a chicken breast. And yeah, I do like chicken breast, okay? I like protein a lot. So that was my video of her going to see her grandmother. Immediately after this, she comes on live and she talks again about how, you know, she's not going to go see her grandmother anymore because of some rule change or whatever. She's not really making a lot of sense. And honestly, I zoned out at that point. So I don't really know what happens. There is another video that she has up. It's like the open chat one. I'm going to go through it. I'll see if I can get that up tomorrow, hopefully. Maybe my skin will be better and I'll actually be able to put foundation on my face again. Because so far I'm just wearing like a little bit of concealer underneath here. And I put like some smeared whatever cream product on my eyes, which is like it's not staying on at all. Even a little bit. It's like smearing the hell off. But whatever. So I'll come back tomorrow. I'll talk a little bit more about that. I just want to talk about this really briefly, more as a pretense to just get some information out there and also to give you my thoughts really quickly on her last video without really delving too deeply into them, because it also ties back into her grandmother. I'm sure she's going to talk about her grandmother more because it is a subject that even for me, even as I sit here saying I don't really feel a lot of sympathy for her, she does get more sympathy from me on that subject than she will on almost any other subject in her life, because her grandmother is a living, breathing human person who deserves our sympathy if she is suffering, because she is not Chantal. You know, raising a piece of crap doesn't mean that you are a piece of crap. Sometimes people are just who they are. And at some point you have to understand that Chantal makes her own decisions regardless of her parents. From everything we've seen, her sister turned out great, and her grandmother and her mother were just as involved in her life. So Chantal, being who Chantal is partially responsible, I'm sure, to the difficult circumstances of her childhood, but it's also partially her own psychology and who she is as a person. And changing that is also up to her. All that is to say, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you hated this video, you can go ahead and give me a thumbs down. That's Perfectly all right with me. I respect everybody's opinions here. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Hit the notification bell down below and hit all if you want to know when I upload any videos right away. I've got all my social medias linked down below. I've got Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. Think of Patreon as the tip jar for the internet. If you like the job that I'm doing here and you want me to continue, hey, consider tossing a few coins in my direction. You don't have to, and it's not necessary, but genuinely, I really appreciate it. I wanted to give a special shout out to my brand new patron, Sidra. Thank you. I hope I pronounced that right, but if I haven't, I'm so sorry. I am just an idiot, and you can't hold that against me because you should know that. Thank you so much for becoming a patron. I really appreciate that. And also a shout out to my $25 patron, D. Higgins. I love you, girl. I love the support. Thank you so much. You make so much of this possible. And as always, I'm Jasmine, the sequel, and I am not relatable. Peace. A special shout out to my patrons, Acrophobe, Ariel M, Christina, Courtney EP, Xanthal, Jambean, Sidra Z, Colleen L, Debbie Elliott, Just Jude, Kate O, and D. Higgins.